Live from the KFOX 14 studios in El Paso and Las Cruces, you're watching the Emmy Award-winning KFOX 14 News at 9.
Parts of the borderland are under a flash flood warning. This video from East El Paso near Yarborough and Albemarle. You can see a good amount of street flooding there. The water level up to the car doors. First on Fox tonight, meteorologist Brad Montgomery joins us where he is tracking the storms. Brad, what is the latest out there?
It was pretty incredible the way these storms came in. We were watching them south of the border around 7 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, as I zoom in just a little bit, they raced across the border, affecting much of East El Paso. You can see even at the ballpark, a little bit of a rain delay there because we got the field covered and temperatures now into the 70s. But as we zoom out, the big story, take a look at some of these rainfall totals. Again, areas getting hardest hit, not so much northeast or the west side, but the east side of El Paso on over toward the far east side. As we zoom in here, Cielo Vista around an inch of rainfall there. Areas had even more. As we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see around the Saul Kleinfeld, just toward the west of Joe Battle Boulevard, about 0.7 inches of rainfall. And then the heart of it, this is the area that got the most rainfall. You can see around Indian Ridge Middle School, Pebble Hills right there, George Dieter to the east, Yarborough to the west. This area got over 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rainfall. Take a look at some of these storm reports as a result of what went on here with this heavy rainfall. Take a look at this. We had a flood report here. Ham operator received a call about flooding between McRae and Wedgwood. No surprise there. Also, East El Paso, a woman was rescued from floodwaters on Bywood between Eads and Fierro near Eastwood Middle School. So pretty incredible there. So the storm reports again verifying what we saw, the very, very heavy rainfall. Now the heaviest has shifted east of East El Paso. So some good news there. And as we back out just a little bit more, heavier rain now shifting further on off toward the east in Hudspeth County. We're going to have much more on what happened and what we can expect going into your weekend coming up.
Brad, thank you. We're seeing a lot of rain and a lot of street flooding in East El Paso, and that's where we find KFOX 14 News at 9's Kaylee Heck. She joins us live. Kaylee, what's it look like out there?
Stand by.
I'm here on Facebook Live in East El Paso. I'm near Eastwood Middle School off of Bywood Drive. Earlier this evening, we received a video from a viewer showing multiple cars stuck in the water here on Bywood. You can see a truck and a car both stuck in the water. It is now down to a drizzle. It's not too bad out here, but the water has since receded here on Bywood. El Paso police had it shut down for about 30 minutes or so. They opened it up just about 15 minutes ago. The officers told me whenever they receive a call for someone stuck in the water, stuck in the rain, they respond to it. But by the time police got here, those cars had already made their way out of the water. But hopefully you can see this in the darkness. Here in this retention pond area, people's trash cans and even a car bumper have washed up here near Eastwood Middle School. We'll continue to bring you the latest on the forecast and everything on air and online at KFOXTV.com. Reporting live from East El Paso, Kaylee Heck, KFOX 14 News at 9.
Kaylee, thank you. The reason Kaylee is using Facebook Live to go live, by the way, is because of the lightning in the area. That makes it impossible for us to use our live signals because it's too dangerous. So that's when we turn to Facebook Live to get her on the air. We're seeing flooding here on Lee Trevino in East El Paso. This video near Traywood shows water collecting in the middle of the streets here, street flooding as we tend to see in those areas. Drivers trying to make their way through that flooding. Parts of the lower valley saw hail. In this video, you can see hail start to collect at an apartment complex there again in the lower valley. It didn't last long, but it was coming down pretty fiercely. Now, we have reporters following rain conditions all over the borderland. KFOX 14 News at 9's Gloria De Leon is live in East El Paso near Hanks High School. We see a lot of flooding there. Gloria, what is the latest in that area?
Okay, well, we're here by Hanks High School off of Lee Trevino and Montwood, and I'm going to turn the camera around. We're on Facebook Live right now because we have seen some lightning in the area, so of course we don't want to damage our equipment or hurt ourselves. But you can see there is some flooding here on Lake Trevino near Hanks High School. You can see a few vehicles with their hazard lights on. I did speak with one of the drivers who tells me that they actually stalled out because of the water. And again, when you're driving and you're not sure how much water is on the road, turn around, don't drown. You don't want to risk hurting yourself or damaging your vehicle. Again, this is flooding here by Hanks High School off of Montwood and Lee Trevino. And again, some flooding here. We have seen vehicles stall out, so try to avoid this area as well. But for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Gloria. All right, Gloria, thank you for that update. Remember, you can stay up to date on all the latest weather conditions with the KFOX Severe Weather app, downloaded from the Apple Store or Google Play. Turning to other news now. A stabbing in Socorro has left the family in shambles. One brother dead, the other behind bars. The victim seen here has been identified as Emilio Gonzalez. His own brother is accused of stabbing him to death. Now, we spoke with the victim's sister-in-law. She tells us how the family is trying to deal with this situation.
It's been really hard, but she knows like her family has her back and will always be here for her and her kids.
The arrest report says that Romero, seen there in that mugshot, stabbed Gonzalez in the neck twice. The mother told police she woke up after hearing a loud noise and found Gonzalez lying in a pool of blood in the bathroom. The sheriff's office says the brothers were smoking meth at a home on the Tiwa reservation when this stabbing occurred.
I feel like there is kind of a drug problem in the res, and like I think they let the drugs take the best of them, and it's sad that it had to end like this.
Catalino Romero is jailed on a $1 million bond. We asked the Tiwa tribe governor for comment on the stabbing and if indeed drugs are a problem on the reservation, and we have not heard back. A local team of volunteers is working to provide legal representation for unaccompanied minors, including those housed at the Tornillo Port of Entry. Now, for more than 10 years, the Diocesan Migrant and Refugee Services has provided legal services to undocumented children in El Paso. They tell us that preparing for these cases has a unique set of challenges because it's difficult to get the children fleeing violence to explain why they're seeking asylum.
You have that added, they are kids, their development is going to be at various stages, their level of education also will vary, and so sometimes they understand concepts very easily, and then sometimes they don't quite understand.
Unlike family court, where the child's best interest is usually front and center, attorneys in immigration proceedings have to follow what the child wants, even if that means returning to their home country. KFOX 14 has spoken to the new leader of ICE's Homeland Security Investigations. He's an El Paso native. His name is Jack Staten. He has more than 20 years of experience in law enforcement, border security, and intelligence. He now oversees 7 offices in New Mexico and Texas. His special agents investigate cases relating to national security and smuggling.
With everything going on right now, the biggest point to make is I hope the community looks at what Immigration and Customs Enforcement is and looks at the branches and looks at everything we do for the community.
The latest numbers from ICE show that arrests are higher last month compared to previous months. They say that more than 100 people at the border, 18 of them were arrested for human smuggling charges. More than 100 people are in custody after federal agents in El Paso raid an alleged stash house for human smugglers. Border Patrol agents arrested 18 accused smugglers, 2 of which are U.S. citizens. Agents also apprehended 117 undocumented immigrants from 3 separate alleged stash houses. The arrests were made last month, but federal authorities disclosed the information today. As part of that bust, agents confiscated more than $20,000 in American and Mexican currency, as well as 19 cars, 3 trailers, and more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana. The president of the El Paso Police Union says that the viral arrest that recently made headlines will not have an impact on an officer's psyche during an arrest. Ron Martin says the officers know they could be recorded by anyone with a mobile phone. He tells KFOX 14 that videos like this viral video, seen by most of the country, doesn't make their job any easier, but there is still a job to do nonetheless.
It's not going to change how we react to certain situations if somebody's filming it. You know, we're still going to do the same thing, because if an officer is expected to use force against somebody and they do not because a camera is sitting there, that officer is derelict in his duties.
Sad because now people these days, they don't even think twice before getting that phone out, before actually trying to help on the situation.
But some El Pasoans tell us there is a benefit to recording an arrest. They say they can keep abusive officers in check if it turns out that way, or even help officers if an investigation proves that there was no wrongdoing. A man from Fort Bliss is accused of firing shots into the air outside of a bar in West El Paso. According to police, Andrew Brookshire was at Little Bit of Texas on the west side when a fight broke out in the parking lot. That's when he allegedly fired shots into the air and pointed the weapon at other witnesses. Brookshire was arrested and has been booked on a $150,000 bond. Police have made an arrest in the aggravated robbery of an elderly man at a central El Paso car wash. Police arrested 55-year-old Jorge Mejia in south central El Paso last night. Police say they were able to identify him as the man in this surveillance video due to tips received through Crime Stoppers of El Paso. And we showed you this video Sunday night. Police say it was Mejia who beat a 75-year-old man. The victim reportedly had woken Mejia up after finding him asleep in one of the car wash bays. Police say Mejia then stole the man's cell phone. Mejia is currently jailed on a $50,000 bond. A puppy is now safe after being thrown out of a moving car. Laws and Paws says Radar was thrown out of a moving car 3 weeks ago in northeast El Paso near Logan Park. There was a witness. The witness reports seeing Radar being thrown out of a small black car, but wasn't able to get the license plate number. The founder of Laws and Paws is also an El Paso Police Department detective.
You know, be responsible. You know, there's always the options of you releasing your animal over here to animal services. They do have a surrender area. Just don't go and, you know, the animal can't fend for themselves. They have no voice. You know, they need us to take care of them just like a child, or, you know, you have to be a responsible person and pet owner and take care of that animal.
Radar just left Animal Services last night. He's now settling into his new foster home. El Paso police need your help locating a missing man who's believed to be in danger. Servillon Andrade Hernandez has been missing since June 28th from his home in northeast El Paso. Andrade was last seen wearing a gray-blue shirt, light denim pants, and brown work boots. He suffers from diabetes and requires daily medication. If anyone has seen him, you're asked to call the El Paso Police Department. More career options, the new company opening up in Sunland Park that's bringing hundreds of new jobs. Saving lives year after year, how the annual Harley-Davidson blood drive in El Paso got started.
And KFOX early warning storm track Doppler again. It's the heaviest rainfall now continuing to shift off toward the east. We're going to be talking about that, plus who saw the most amount of hail too. Really quickly on the radar, you see El Paso though still seeing some moderate rainfall. Plus your weekend forecast coming up. KFOX 14 news at 9. And the borderline remains under a flash flood warning until 10:30. Take a look at this video from Blanca Sanchez. This is near Yarborough, and again, that rain coming down extremely heavy. You could see just how humid it was earlier this afternoon. You could feel it, and that developed into this very large thunderstorm very rapidly. Looked like a lightning flash right there, and this rainfall accumulating pretty quickly. Really quickly, KFOX early warning storm track Doppler. This is the hail tracks, and notice it coming out of Juarez, and as it built rather quickly, all of a sudden through East El Paso, and some of the areas Doppler estimating saw the largest amount of hail between Lee Trevino off toward the east of there, west of George Dieter, and south of Montonwood. But many areas seeing some smaller to medium-sized hail mixing in. But the bigger story was that heavier rainfall. We'll be talking more about that coming up.
This year's federal budget is more than 2,200 pages long. And as lawmakers tackle next year's budget, our national correspondent Christine Frizzau takes a look at a program one lawmaker calls a total waste of your money.
It's one of the top jobs of Congress, the power of the purse. And as lawmakers spend the coming weeks hammering out a budget deal, there's an effort by some in Congress to shine a light on programs of the past as a warning to Congress of what not to do in the future.
Wasteful spending is riddled throughout your government.
Here's Senator Rand Paul in February blasting what he calls out-of-control spending.
This is $250,000 that was spent on bringing 24 kids from Pakistan to space camp and to Dollywood.
The program, which ended in 2015, was funded by the State Department. The kids spent a week at NASA's space camp in Huntsville, Alabama, then went to the Dollywood theme park and Washington, D.C. before flying home.
I think we have so many problems here at home that we need to address before we think about, spending money on somebody else's kids.
But I think some people might argue, spreading goodwill and giving kids from another country that has been
I'm not against that at all, if it's your money. The problem is that our government doesn't have any money that they didn't first take from someone else. The other thing is our government really doesn't have any money.
The State Department declined an interview request for this story, but said in a statement, quote, exchange programs are a key component of our public diplomacy efforts that help build U.S. influence around the world.
$250,000 for one program, of course, a small fraction of the spending bill, most recently totaling about $1.3 trillion. And as lawmakers near their August recess, we're expecting many more fights about how taxpayer dollars should and should not be spent. On Capitol Hill, I'm Christine Frizzell.
Close to 1,300 jobs are coming to the borderland. A food processing plant called Stampede Meat is coming to Sunland Park. The Illinois-based company is expanding in the former Tyson plant in the area. Today, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez and other state leaders took part in the groundbreaking ceremony. Stampede Meat is investing $36 million in that facility. The mayor of Sunland Park says this could bring more development to the area.
The spillover effect from the investment in this community and locating here is going to be tremendous for the city of Sunland Park.
Sunland Park was chosen over Oklahoma and Iowa for the competitive expansion. That facility should be up and running by October. A local businessman who was diagnosed with leukemia was able to beat the disease thanks to blood donations from others. He now pays it forward each year at one of the most popular motorcycle shops in El Paso. KFOX 14 News at 9's Adriana Candelaria tells us about the weekend-long event.
The blood drive had kind of a sad start. I got leukemia about 14 years ago.
Mark Burnett is the general manager of the Harley-Davidson motorcycle store, but he's also a survivor.
My sister organized a couple of blood drives for me. Then some motorcycle dealerships in Houston where I was being treated organized some for me.
The blood donations that he received are perhaps what is bringing the community together, even years after he beat leukemia.
When you're sitting there on the bed getting someone else's blood put in you, it made me think a lot that this was something that we might be able to do for other people.
Every year for the past 25 years, Burnett has hosted a blood drive at Harley-Davidson along with United Blood Services. Donors get to enter their name into a raffle for a motorcycle.
The bikers are always able to make a party out of anything, so it's turned into kind of a fun event.
The blood drive will happen this Saturday and Sunday from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m.
Our goal is to try to get the most equipment in and the most people through the door.
United Blood Services says blood donations tend to go low during the summer, which is why Barnett says they try to host drives during this time. Their goal this year is to collect 2,400 units of donations. Adriana Candelaria, KFOX 14 News at 9.
The outgoing Bishop of Las Cruces has some final words for the community before leaving to California. Bishop Oscar Cantu returned to the borderland today from his trip to San Jose, which is where he's headed next. Cantu says he'll miss the borderland.
A couple of key moments that we have each year are the border mass, and recognize that though we do have borders and they are important, that there is something more important than borders, that there is a common humanity.
Cantu has served the Las Cruces community for 5 years. He'll remain in Las Cruces through September 28th. A bombshell related to the Russia investigation. The U.S. government has indicted 12 Russian spies for their role in the 2016 elections.
And today's El Paso, some parts getting more than your fair share of rainfall. We'll talk about what we can expect as we go into your weekend. Take a look at this video. Again, heavy rainfall impacting the east side. You see how flooded those roads got very quickly after the 7 o'clock hour. Again, have that full weekend forecast. Some changes coming our way next week. Still seeing some moderate rainfall out there, though. It's coming up. KFOX 14 News at 9.
All right, we return to our severe weather coverage from the rains that we saw earlier today. This is video that we were showing you at the top of our newscast from East El Paso. Now, this video shows obviously street flooding that's happening in that area. You can see a moving truck in the far distance coming to a complete stop, but pay attention to that car there in the middle of your screen. Eventually the camera will turn back over to that car. You see a man walking up to it. He is trying to help someone who's trapped in that car because of those fast moving waters and the rising water in that area there off of East El Paso, trying to get that person safely out of the vehicle. This is a pretty remarkable sight considering how quickly the storm moved in and how much flooding we got in that area. Am I right, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. When you have, this kind of humidity in the borderland, this is exactly what can happen. These storms just dump too much rainfall too quickly. Incredible video there. As far as what we're seeing out there right now, temperature 70s and 80s, but the bigger story, the rainfall. It's actually kind of increased just a little bit over the past 20 minutes over parts of East El Paso. Again, Las Cruces, you missed out tonight. I know you got your fair share last night, but tonight you missed out. There's the outline of the flood warning, still going in effect until 10:30 p.m. That's when it will expire. But notice the rain starting to increase once again for parts of East El Paso, but not nearly as heavy. Just want to warn you, not nearly as heavy as what you saw earlier. So again, it started in Juarez, and then it just quickly exploded over the east side of El Paso, developing really rapidly. I got a cool picture to show you here coming up as well. Around Cielo Vista, radar estimating about 1 inch of rainfall. We go to the other side of that toward far east El Paso, about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And the bullseye right around Glen Cove Elementary, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rainfall. Doppler estimating at the airport over 1 inch of rainfall. That would be on the further west side of this storm. There we are, ham operator reporting flooding around Wedgwood and Pebble Hills. And as we head further toward the west, there's that rescue being reported. Woman being rescued from floodwaters on Bywood Drive between Eads and Fierro near Eastwood Middle School. So pretty incredible video. Again, you just saw it there before we went to the weathercast. And there's that flood warning continuing until 10:30 because once the storm is gone, it has dumped all that water, and that's going to take time to drain away. Take a look at this storm. Thank you, Tess Clark, for sending us this photo. This was taken from the east looking towards the west. And look at the left side of your screen. Look at that rain just dumping out. When it comes out uneven like that, that is just heavy rain. Incredible amounts of rainfall, incredible rainfall rates with that storm. And that's why we saw 1 to 2 inches in such a short amount of time. For tomorrow and also for our Sunday, about a 30 to 40% chance of storms. That's going to stick around. Want to quickly talk about those changes coming our way. Next week, high pressure building overhead, almost like a mound of atmosphere over us. That's going to heat us up. So building heat next week as our rain chances start to subside. 10% chance of an isolated storm once the rain kind of dies off this evening. Las Cruces, 68 degrees, 10% chance of an isolated shower storm. 48-hour forecast, 40% chance of showers Saturday and Sunday, lower to mid-90s. Also a 40% chance, similar temperatures in Las Cruces. And again, just like today, some of these could produce some very heavy rainfall. So you want to keep an eye to the sky the afternoon onto the evening hours.
Thanks, Brad. An impressive talent. How long it takes this artist to create stunning portraits. Plus, taking the spotlight, why this little boy was given the chance to sing the national anthem. Next on KFOX 14 News at 9. Coverage you can count on.
Right now, here's what you can find on KFOXTV.com.
And the rain continuing in parts of East El Paso right now. On the radar, you can see it kind of picking up in intensity just a little bit. Those greens turning into yellows, indicating a slight intensification, but that is now heading further south toward the lower valley. Zooming in really quickly here. Again, there's that flood warning until 10:30. We're talking about areas in the far east part of the county, or the far east part of the city, basically where Loop 375 meets I-10. And that rainfall is just moderate, not as heavy, thankfully, as what we saw earlier, but we certainly did see some heavy rainfall earlier this evening.
I'm KFOX 14 News at 9's Kaylee Heck here in East El Paso. Multiple cars have gotten stuck here on Bywood Drive near Eastwood Middle School tonight. Take a look at this viewer video that was sent in to us earlier. You can see a couple of cars stuck in that water. When we got here, El Paso police shut down the street for at least 30 minutes, letting some of that water drain out. In East El Paso, Kaylee Heck, KFOX 14 News at 9.
And a man left that video there walking toward that car eventually did help to rescue someone in that stranded car. When these conditions pop up, you want our KFOX Severe Weather app. Track showers and storms, get your watches, warnings, advisories, and get that free at Google Play or the App Store.
A new law in New Mexico is making changes in the adult guardianship system. The new state law helps protect vulnerable people who are no longer able to make decisions about their finances and personal affairs. Now, with the new law, guardians must keep and protect a person's financial records for 7 years and fully comply with the requirements of any audit. There will be bonding requirements to help safeguard a person's assets and open court hearings in guardianship proceedings which were previously closed. A former FBI lawyer is on Capitol Hill to meet with congressional investigators over anti-Trump text messages. The former lawyer for the FBI, exchanged those messages with FBI agent Peter Strzok. Her testimony comes a day after Strzok went through an intense 10-hour-long hearing. One of the most heated exchanges came when a Republican launched this attack. A Republican from Texas, I should mention, launched this attack about Strzok's extramarital affair with that lawyer.
How many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
That attorney, Lisa Page, is scheduled to come back on Monday for another closed-door meeting. And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you think FBI investigators are biased against President Trump? Here's a look at some of the results. 3% say they are biased in favor of Trump. 76% say they're biased against Trump. 21% say they don't have a bias. These numbers come from people who took the online and unscientific survey in our area, as well as from our sister stations across the country. You can still answer by going to kfoxtv.com/question. Special counsel Robert Mueller has indicted 12 Russians for hacking into Democratic Party emails during the 2016 presidential election. This comes 3 days before President Trump is due to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Reporter Natasha Chen explains the method Russians used to spy on Americans.
So long as we are united in our commitment to the values enshrined in the Constitution, they will not succeed.
But ahead of the 2016 presidential election, at least 12 Russian military intelligence officers had already succeeded in hacking into the emails of Democratic campaign officials and committees and stealing the information of 500,000 voters. Friday, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein announced the U.S. has charged the 12 Russians with conspiracy.
The conspirators corresponded with several Americans during the course of the conspiracy through the internet. There's no allegation in this indictment that the Americans knew they were corresponding with Russian intelligence officers.
The new indictments detail how the Russians allegedly did it. The investigators say the Russians stole information using spear phishing schemes and hacked into computer networks where they installed malware, allowing them to spy on Americans and capture keystrokes, take screenshots, and remove data from those computers. The timing of this announcement is crucial, just 3 days before Trump's summit with Putin.
I will absolutely bring that up. I don't think you'll have any, gee, I did it, you got me. There won't be a Perry Mason here, I don't think, but you never know what happens, right? But I will absolutely, firmly ask the question.
But Democrats say the whole meeting should be scrapped.
Going forward, there should be no one-on-one meeting between this president and Mr. Putin. There needs to be other Americans in the room.
In Washington, I'm Natasha Chen reporting.
Russia's foreign ministry says there is no evidence that the 12 Russian nationals were involved in the hacking of Democratic Party emails during the 2016 election. 7 in 10 registered voters say they're extremely or very interested in the November elections. That's according to a new Fox News poll. 77% of Democrats say they're interested, compared with 74% of Republicans and 44% of independents. But not everyone's excited to talk about politics. Fox asked whether voters in the last year have intentionally avoided talking with friends and family who have different political views. Respondents were split. 48% say yes, the same amount saying no. National Ice Cream Day, the freebies being offered on Sunday.
I'm probably going to open my own shop and sell more of these things.
Getting an early start, how one young boy's talent landed him with his own business. Next on KFOX 14 News at 9.
Foliage, an Aveda Concept Salon, the official salon and spa for KFOX TV.
And as far as the radar goes right now, again, that activity is starting to die off. A look outside right now, you can see the ballpark still seeing the delay. Notice the field is covered, 73 degrees, humidity 73%. Now, KFOX with the warning storm track Doppler. What we're seeing on the radar right now, the heaviest rain continues to shift east. That is good news for El Paso. And now, even the moderate rainfall that we have seen is starting to lighten up just a little bit. So it looks like we're starting to see a break now. Those areas going to continue to get a chance to kind of drain away.
July is UV Awareness Month. Reporter Emily Balcom shows us a breakthrough treatment for melanoma in tonight's Sinclair Cares.
Let me tell you, I watch these kids on these spring breaks, that kind of thing, and laying around in the sun. I say, look at that. That's cancer coming on there. They're just asking for it.
That's a lesson George Dodds learned the hard way. He's been fighting melanoma since 1962.
My exposure started when I was called active duty in the Air Force. When you're out in places like Arizona and Morocco, and you got to be outside.
5 decades and 6 surgeries later, Dodds lost his ear to melanoma, and the cancer keeps spreading, most recently to his lung.
He said, you know, this one we can't take out with surgery. And I thought, oh, brother. He said, no, we got a new medicine we're going to try.
So what you're looking at is a CT scan.
Dr. Anthony Tolscher runs Next Oncology, an arm of Texas Oncology.
And our goal is to advance and accelerate new drug development for the treatment of cancer.
Doctors here gave Dodds a new type of treatment.
An immune therapy called ipilimumab. These drugs work by turning your immune system on so that they go after the cancer.
The results are so promising, the FDA calls immune therapy drugs a medical breakthrough.
And this is a fascinating turn in cancer treatment because for the first time, we can reliably cause the immune system to attack and reject a cancer.
Each scan showed the melanoma in Dodds' lung shrink and shrink some more.
I went back to third. He said it's gone. And I couldn't believe it.
At 87, he keeps beating the odds.
Saved my life, I guess.
But take it from him.
Cancer is a terrible disease.
Fun in the sun comes with a price. For Sinclair Cares, I'm Emily Balcom.
A furry fortune teller, the soccer team that this pup predicts will win the World Cup. And food on the go, how one restaurant is recreating an Italian classic. Next on KFOX 14 News at 9. An annual show for the food and beverage industry features some familiar and new specialty foods coming to market. Kale has become a popular food in recent years, I should say, but it appears that cauliflower might take over. You can find it in all sorts of dishes like pizza, even cauliflower pretzels and crackers. The number of plant-based offerings continues to grow.
I don't even know if we could call it a trend anymore. It's more like a lifestyle movement. Health and wellness has definitely.
Other items making their debut include clean labels, simple ingredients with no unnecessary and unpronounceable additives, and visually interesting products that consumers can share on social media. If you've ever been to New York, you know there are endless things to both do and see, but one restaurant is giving customers a different way to enjoy their food while keeping on the go. Circa's Reed Dunley explains.
My name is Ettore. I'm Italian.
My name is Giovanni Gentile. I'm a partner owner with Ettore and Emanuele here at Spaghetti Incident.
We're well known for these guys here, the cones. We put spaghetti in a cone. So the New Yorkers can go and walk around and eat their super fast food.
Like any good Italian restaurant, Spaghetti Incident makes their pasta in-house and draws from their family recipes.
We're gonna do a couple of dishes. The first, the chitarra, is our most popular dish. It's very simple. We make the garlic sauté. We put the tomato sauce, and then we added the chopped tomatoes. We let it go a little bit, and once the pasta is ready, we toss it together, and we add the mozzarella at the end, so it stays fresh. The carbonara, we sauté the pancetta. We make it crispy. Very simple. We add some water from the cooking pasta. Then we toss the pasta, and we add Parmigiano Reggiano and 2 egg yolks. We toss it together. You gotta be very fast. make a nice cream, the dish is ready and goes straight to the cone.
Definitely works better with the long pasta because it's actually kind of a physics thing. Since the shape is conic, while you throw the spaghetti, it lays very well on the shape of the cone, so you can eat it pretty easily.
For Circa News, I'm Reed Dunley.
Sunday is National Ice Cream Day. That means deals on the frozen treat at restaurants across the country. You can download the Dairy Queen app and register for an account and get a free small blizzard. Sam's Club is serving free samples of the icy float on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at all locations, and no membership is needed. Also, check out the Baskin-Robbins app for offers including buy one, get one free deals and $2 off a medium shake. A dog from Washington State has decided which team will win the World Cup. Now, this is lucky. He's already 2 for 2 in his picks for a World Cup semifinal, and he's settled on France to win it all on Sunday in the final game against Croatia. Friends of the family wanted to call the dog's picks a fluke, but his last match, picking Croatia over the favorite, England, proved them wrong.
When he chose Croatia, like my whole family, we were all worried because like everyone expected England to win, you know? Yeah, and then once Croatia won, we knew this dog, he has some magic powers.
We'll find out if those magic powers are real or fiction. We'll find out on Sunday. And remember, you can watch the World Cup right here on KFOX 14. France takes on Croatia Sunday morning. Coverage begins at 8 a.m. The game starts at 9 a.m. All right, now we're going to return to this video from East El Paso, this rather dramatic video that we've been showing you here tonight. This is near Eastwood Middle School in East El Paso. This is a video that was sent to us here from one of our iSpot reporters, and you can see obviously what happened was a lot of street flooding near Eastwood Middle School. It's located near Yarborough out on the east side, just in case you're not familiar with that area. And the reason this interesting video, or rather the reason this video has become so interesting is that person that you see walking toward that car, there's a person stranded in that car. There's a person who has to open the door and get some help from that person who's walking by because clearly if that big moving truck behind the car has been rendered useless by the water, you can imagine that that car is also not going anywhere, right,
And
Brent?
that water's moving.
Yeah, that water's moving quickly. You can see that there's some rapids forming in that part of that street there near Eastwood Middle School.
Water rescue. And as far as what we're seeing on the radar right now, the good news is that rainfall trending down. I do want to zoom in really quickly and talk about that area that got some of the heaviest rainfall. Cielo Vista, Doppler estimating about an inch. On the other side of the area that got the heart of that rainfall toward far east El Paso, just west of Joe Battle, about 3/4 of an inch. And then there it is right there around Glen Cove Elementary School, Pebble Hills, George Dieter, and Yarborough, seeing about 1.5 to 2 inches of rainfall. So no surprise there. And really quickly, too, I want to take a look at the current image of the radar. Notice the heaviest rainfall has now shifted over into Hudspeth County. That is good news there. It is starting to wind down for us here in El Paso. So the flood warning lasts until 10:30. Flash flood warning until 10:30. There you see it right there. But the rain, at least in the city itself, is starting to die down and shift further toward the east over the Waco tanks out into Hudspeth County. So that is some good news there for sure. You can want to stay with KFOX 14 News at 9. Coming up, we're going to have much more on your weather, as well as the storm chances going into the weekend with your 5-day forecast with your weekend always in view.
A musical flash mob breaks out at a fast food restaurant in Tennessee.
Every praise is to our God.
It started out with a group of 4 men at a Chick-fil-A. It ended with nearly all the customers in the restaurant joining in. The men were in Tennessee for a religious conference. This video has been seen more than 8 million times on Facebook. This 3-year-old boy from New York is sure to make you smile. Drake Grillo sang the national anthem last night at a baseball game in Auburn. Drake's mother says one of the teams asked him last minute if he would sing, and he jumped at the chance. An 8-year-old from Cincinnati is getting a head start on what could be a budding business career.
Aiden Hughes says there is a talent to wood burning.
When I am burning, I go super slow. And you don't want to press down too hard because sometimes you might get stuck in a hole.
All right, well, Aiden Hughes uses his wood-burning talent to create coasters and keychains. He's already marketing coasters to one of Cincinnati's iconic breweries.
Well, first, I print out the logo. Then I get carbon paper and I draw it on there. After that, I burn it and I seal it, and then it's all done.
He'd jump in there and hand me a wrench. I'd tell him what wrench to use and, you know, things like that. He's learned to use air compressor, air wrenches, screwdrivers, you know, pliers, about everything you can think of, sockets and ratchets.
Aiden says he learned what he knows from his grandfather, who took Aiden under his wing when he was just a little boy. It takes this Egyptian artist just a few minutes to paint an entire portrait upside down. Albert Magdi uses a pair of brushes to paint famous Arab and international celebrities. He often performs for audiences live. He says his mission is not just to create a canvas, but also to amaze the audience in order to keep them attached to the work of his skillful hands.
Well, what a Friday. Take a look at your 5-day forecast with your weekend noise and view. Changes coming our way, not so much for the weekend, but beyond. Lower to mid-90s Saturday, Sunday. Again, 40% chance of storms. Some of those could easily contain some heavy rainfall. Look at your Monday and Tuesday. The rain chances trending down. And look at your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Close to 100 degrees by the end of next week as we dry out, but not until the end of next week.
We have an update on tonight's top stories next on KFOX 14 News at 9. Parts of the borderland under a flash flood warning. We'll tell you how the storm impacted East El Paso in our top stories update next on KFOX 14 News at 9.
Where's Crawford? No.
Parts of the borderland are underwater. We have a flash flood warning in effect until 10:30 tonight. KFOX 14 News at 9's Kaylee Heck is in East El Paso with a look at how the rain is affecting that area.
Rain came down hard in East El Paso, flooding several roads. This is Bywood Drive near Eastwood Middle School. You can see multiple cars stuck in the water that is rushing down the street. El Paso police eventually came and blocked off the street to make sure no other cars could get stuck. One driver tells us that all of their belongings were in the car, and it was a scary moment being stuck in that water.
That does it for KFOX 14 News at 9. Thanks for being with us. I'm Robert Olguin. Have a great weekend, everyone.